In the small town of Ebelstein, there was a lying old geezer. That's what the people in the slums called this aging man anyway. He could use one-star magic, but his bragging was so outrageous that he went around calling himself a great mage. He had a nasty temper too, to the point where he would genuinely lose it at the little kids who tried to prank him. And he learned magic from this crazy old geezer. He doesn't have any grand reason for doing such a thing. The old man simply needed followers, and he needed knowledge. Summer turned to winter, and winter turned to spring, and eventually, the boy began to grasp the flow of mana. The geezer was impressed, but the boy did not stop there and used magic to craft an arrow that went flying into the bark of a nearby tree. That's how he spent a year at the old man's side, while doing every kind of odd job for him, and became a first-star mage. That night, the old man notes that he heard that past the northern wall of Ebelstein, some noble brats reached 3 stars even before their coming of age. That's a realm a lowborn like him could spend his entire life polishing and still barely reach, so he shouldn't get conceited. With skills like his, the entire world will collapse on his head as he reaches the wall of the 2 stars. This old man usually went on long rants about bloodlines, about how magic is just bloodline, and that no matter how much he struggles, it's all futile. He kept drilling this into his head again and again. Perhaps it was a manifestation of his longing for everything he never managed to get, but that night felt unusually long, like he wanted to leave something to the world, a memento of sorts. And sure enough, the next day when he returned to their camping spot, the old man was dead. His entire body was covered in bruises. He'd been badly beaten, probably picked a fight he couldn't win and gotten in this state, a way of leaving this world perhaps. He learned later though, that the old man was beaten by none other than the guards. They said he got caught trying to steal a 2-star spellbook from a warehouse. Nobody could understand why an old man with no ambition would do such a thing, but the boy knew it was for him, and he always preached about bloodlines. But unfortunately for him, he can't possibly have noble blood, because he's not from this world at all, given the system that popped up in his face and asked his primary school of magic. 4 entire years passed just like that, and he met Katya Flameheart, the former mistress of the now fallen Flameheart house, a viscounty. Born a noble, she was a 3-star mage, and many mercenary groups sought her out for this. While staying in Ebelstein, she took contracts through the Belden Mercenary Corps, and she taught those who joined the Corps young, and went around using 1-star magic to survive. That's how he learned a great deal from a 3-star, and one day, at the Belden's Tier Tavern, she told him that it's only natural for a mage to develop a desire to rise even higher, and as he knows, he has that kind of talent. With that said, excessive greed will only slow his progress. The boy, Derek, said he would keep that in mind, and so they continued their lesson. Derek closed his eyes and began feeling his mana, calmly sensing where it's generated, what kind of flow it has, and thought of it as using mana to bring the image he's imagining to reality. As he does that, Katya thinks that he definitely has a considerable amount of innate mana, and maybe it's because he's got a lot of field experience, but his mana control is pretty stable too. Suddenly, Derek opens his eyes, and something thunders throughout the entire tavern, causing the mercenaries to get up and immediately check if there's been an attack or something. As Derek recovers, Katya grabs his hand and tells him not say anything, and just follow. As the mercenaries wonder what that was, as it definitely sounded like an explosion, surely there must have been an attack nearby. Katya takes Derek to an alley, where he asks what is going on. She tells him to listen carefully to her next words. As he knows, nobles are sensitive about their privileges, and magic is the greatest privilege among them. People treat innate strength as some sort of blessing, but that only applies to nobles. Among commoners, very rarely does someone reach 3 stars, but usually those are commoners who devoted their entire lives to the art of magic, and what he just used was a 2-star delusion-type spell called Auditory Hallucination. That's how, at the age of 14, he became 2-star. After that, Katya continued traveling with him, and passed down various spells, and sometimes she even taught him about the high society she used to be in when she was a noble. A year passed just like that, and then Katya left. He heard that the country of Elvester appointed her as a private tutor. House Elvester was the kind of family that even the capital's Grand Duke had to respect, because they had Count Elvester on their side. For Katya, it was an offer that she could just not refuse. Becoming the magic teacher of a noble of that level was an enormous blessing for anyone. Before leaving though, she left him a 2-star spellbook as a gift, and using his known magic, he studied that book for an entire year, and mastered 2 more 2-star spells at just 16, and had no intention of stopping there. At that same tavern, the bartender tells Derek that they finally got a proper request for once. It is apparently a request from House Duplain, the Grand Douche. Does he understand now why he's excited? Derek asked if it was that Duplain, but why would a place like that hire them? The bartender told him that's not what mattered right now. It's Duplain, the house that uses gold like people use water. And if they open a path with Duplain through this job, they can build better connections too. Derek dusts himself and asks what he wants them to do. The bartender tells him it's nothing crazy. They want them to subdue a few monsters on the outskirts of the Grand Duke's territory. With Derek surprised that this is it, something feels off. A family as big as Duplain asking a mere mercenary corps to clear out beasts? He refuses to go. He should go find someone else. The bartender tells him to wait, but Derek is bent on not accepting. His only rule is not to take shady jobs. The bartender tells him that if he could get someone else, he would do it himself. But they say they needed a mage, and people like him are scarce among mercenaries. He's the only one who can do it, and that's why he called him. Derek is even more suspicious. Why do they need a mage just for a monster subjugation? Regardless, he doesn't want to get tangled in this mess. Before he leaves, the bartender throws 1 gold coin at him. This isn't even the fee, but an advanced payment. Derek knows he can't refuse now. He wants to keep his job after all, so he meets with the clients, and the bartender tells him to pay his respects to them. The noble older man refused. A child who hadn't even had a coming-of-age ceremony? He heard he earned a merit during the Dawn War, so he had some expectations, but he couldn't believe he was sending a child to this job. The bartender told him that this kid is the real deal, and the best mage he knows. The noble refused and turned to leave, as this is a task that cannot be entrusted to a child. Before he could walk out though, his wife whispered something to him, looking at their daughter as she did, and so the man relented, noting that they could talk. The next day, somewhere in the Grand Duchy of Duplain, Derek began his job, kicking away a goblin before decapitating another. One of them rushed behind him, but Derek dodged with precision and zapped the goblin to death. With this, he has finished the job, and the noble seems rather displeased that he took them down so quickly, but their daughter seems to think otherwise. That night at the tavern, one of the mercenaries couldn't believe that Derek had become a dog of the nobles. The bartender tells Pauline to get down from the table. There are customers around too. She doesn't care. No matter how lowly commoners like them are, they must not become dogs for the nobles. The bartender guessed that Derek didn't tell her how much they were paying, but she didn't care. No price is worth his pride. The bartender pointed out one, which she thought was 1 silver, but it's actually 1 gold. Pauline immediately begs to be taken on the job too, but the bartender tells her to shut it. She said that pride can't be bought after all. After she tires herself, the bartender asks Derek how his request went. He explains that it was nothing special. He just killed a few goblins, and that was that. The bartender knows their first impression was trash, but they looked like they had money, right? Derek confirms as such, but also states that all 3 of them were lying. The noble dispatch officer said he was looking for exactly 3 things: youth, stamina, and socializing ability. But that person had none of the 3. And the woman who called herself a scullery maid, her hands were far too clean for someone doing such rough work. That trainee inspector too. It's all too strange. The bartender looks at him sternly and tells him that they are just mercenaries. They don't need to dig too deeply into their clients. They just do the job and take the money. Derek knows that Jaden is right. This place is the wild, and in the wild, the only thing that matters is living to the next day and nothing else. The next day arrives, and Derek takes care of most of the goblins. With this, they won't be showing up for a while. The officer noble congratulates him for his good work, and Jaden wants to discuss how they will handle payment. He immediately gets 2 gold coins and scruffs Derek's hair while noting that they are rich now, but Derek tells him to put that down and talk. The officer clears his throat and says that he admires Derek's skills. He would like to entrust him with a new request, if that would be acceptable. For this request, the Grand Duchy will pay upwards of 15 gold coins. So will he do it? Derek agrees, and so, they are both taken in a carriage to the Duplain residence. Jaden notes that this is the first time he has seen something like this. It's quite an impressive building. Before they enter, the officer thinks he should formally introduce himself, but Jaden tells him that's not needed. They already met once or twice, and formalities aren't needed. Even so, the man introduces himself as Delon, the Grand Steward serving the Grand Duke Duplain, and he apologizes for having concealed his status, but it was needed for the task. Jaden wonders what they are supposed to do now, and the older woman introduces herself as Katerina, the Grand Duke's head maid. Jaden bows slightly, surprised that they are both people of such high standing, and introduces himself as well, as captain of the Beldun Mercenary Corps, and a bartender on the side. Derek knew something was suspicious. He more or less expected this, but their ranks are pretty high. Eventually, the girl from before gets out of the carriage too. She removes her cloak and lets down her hair, introducing herself as Isaline Eleanor Duplain. She wants to appoint him as the magic tutor for her younger sister Yahello. Derek is surprised. Him? A magic tutor for a noble lady? At the same time as this happens, one of the Duplain's sons barges through the doors of his father's study, telling him and Valerian, his brother, to look at this. His father asks Reg what he is doing, and he should conduct himself with dignity. Reg screams out, noting that the one who needs to act with dignity isn't him, but Yahello. She has gone too far, and now she's even laying hands on the people he hired for her. What does that say about him? Valerian tells him to lower his voice. He and his father were in the middle of a conversation. Reg refuses, as more than 10 servants quit last month, not to mention the hundreds of objects she smashes whenever she feels like it. How long are they going to keep turning a blind eye to that thug? Valerian gets up and screams at him, noting that this is enough, so he should leave. Reg refuses once again. Even if Yahello is a good-for-nothing brat, don't they still have Isaline? He thinks it's time to let Yahello go. His father puts his glasses down and says that's not for him to decide, but Reg refuses to let this go. He had the Grand Steward look into a monastery. They say the facilities are good. Plenty of children of nobles come and go. So instead of living while being treated like a burden, would it not be better for Yahello to devote herself to God's will? As he continues speaking, his father suddenly grabs his head and smashes it roughly into the table. He believes he made himself clear. This is not his decision to make, and that's final. Reg dares not look his father in the eye, but tells him that when that time comes, and it will come, he will have to decide. as Derek walks around the halls with Iseline, who asks if he's ever heard about her younger sister, Diella. Derek notes he's seen her in the family registry, but that's it. Iseline expected as such. She's probably not well known to the public. As they walk, they meet up with Reg and Valerian, who, upon seeing Iseline, note that it's been a while and ask how Ebelstein is treating her. She explains that thanks to him, she's been living comfortably there. He understands, but since Craig is a bit hurt, they will catch up later. Derek immediately sizes them up, seeing their stern faces, and the maid who's crying. They eventually arrive at the father's study, who is also relieved to hear that his daughter is doing well. Iseline explains that this is the magic tutor she brought from Ebelstein. He said he'd take charge of Diella. The father understands, and seeing him uninterested, Iseline notes that he's busy, so they will take their leave. Before they do that though, the father says he wants to have a chat with Derek. Just him. As he continues writing, he notes that he's quite young, 16. Derek confirms as much, and the father asks if he can handle magic to some extent. Derek lies and says he can use a bit of one-star magic, making the father laugh a bit, as he has no reason to lie in front of him. Humility doesn't always come off as a virtue. Derek looks at him, the Grand Duke of Duplain. He guesses humility won't work on a 5-star mage. He apologizes for coming off as disrespectful, but Duplain says it's fine. He knows why he carries himself this way. Being too talented can end up doing more harm than good. Judging by his age and attire, he doesn't look like someone suited to be a magic tutor. Derek admits that he is a mercenary, but Duplain notes that Iseline chose him, so he won't be prying any further, and he will grant him entry to the annex of the residence where Diella lives. He may go now. A maid will guide him there. Before leaving, Derek wants to ask one thing, which Duplain allows. He is a mercenary. If he takes a commission, it is his duty to see it through, so that Diella may learn magic and enter high society as a proper maid. Iseline commissioned him. Duplain asks why he's stating the obvious, but it's because Derek has an earnest request to make of him, which the Duke listens to. Inside Diella's room, she throws a plate at one of the maids, who apologizes again and again, but Diella asks if her apologizing will change anything. Given her status, she should get out of her sight right this second, and if she shows herself one more time, that plate will end up in her face. As Jaden has some tea with Iseline, he asks why she chose Derek. Magic tutors should have been lined up in front of them. Besides, a commoner will have difficulty working as a noble's magic tutor. Iseline explains that she tried almost every famous magic master on the entire continent. In the end, they all gave up. So she opted for those who can use magic, but are under desperate circumstances. Although Derek has the background of a mercenary, he seemed to know a bit about how Hubio nobles conduct themselves, and their culture. Jaden explains that his master was a fallen noble who used to be successful. He probably learned a lot of that from her. Iseline figured he was refined and kind despite being a mercenary. She thought that if it was him, he might be able to rein in Diella and lead her. Jaden tells her that she needs to learn how to see through people more, as Derek is a mage who grew up on the streets, and he worked as a mercenary before he even came of age. Does she really think someone from the streets can survive on nothing but refinement and kindness? For a child like that to survive, he needs more than that. He knocks on Diella's door, and upon not getting an answer, simply opens it and introduces himself. Diella tells him to come closer, and as he does, with a wicked smile, she throws a bunch of diary water in his face. How horrible. She thought that some sewer rat had come in. He's probably the mercenary the Grand Steward mentioned, or perhaps not. Looking at him, he does seem like a sewer rat. She climbs the chair and pours the rest of the dirty water on him, which she guesses reminds him of his hometown, right? Being drenched in gutter water like this? She eventually runs out of water, and notes that it's a shame she didn't give him a proper bath. But Derek doesn't react at all, making her angry, and she kicks him down. She removes her shoe, as he stinks and sits down, telling him to know his place. Someone like him from the dirty streets is not worthy of teaching her. As he looks out the window, Duplain thinks about what he discussed with Derek, who said that the fact he's here means Diella's problem cannot be resolved with ease. He wanted to ask him, who loves Diella more than anything? How much authority he's willing to grant him when it comes to teaching her? Well, he gave him enough authority to slap her across the face, which naturally comes as a shock to Diella, but Derek tells her to get up, as he's not done quite yet. 3 years ago, as Derek was taking a carriage with Katya, he asked what she would do if she had to teach a stubborn student who did not appreciate kindness. She said that she would try to understand them, embrace them, and take them in. Derek believed that was a bit idealistic, but Katya told him the essence of teaching is to lead a student in a better direction. If he can't communicate through understanding and acceptance, then they will have a different starting point, and that is fear. Derek gives his first order to Diella, to treat others with consideration and respect, and tells her to get up again. She does so, but immediately slaps him, asking how he dares to hit her. Derek does so again, and notes that he won't say the same thing twice. When she deals with others, she will do so with consideration and respect. Seeing this, Diella screams out for the Grand Steward, telling him that this lowborn dared to put his hands on her. He immediately rushes in and gets between them, asking what he's doing right now. How dare he lay a hand on a noble? When the Grand Duke finds out, he's cooked. To shut him up, Derek pulls out a scroll and explains that His Grace granted him full authority over all of her education, and to employ whichever method he may choose. The steward reads it, and cannot deny the validity of the document. That night, upon hearing what happened, Valerian rushes through the hall and barges in Derek's room where he's reading. He immediately grabs Derek and asks how he dares to hit Diella, but Reg stops him and tells him to just talk. Derek explains that his actions were permitted by the Duke. He doesn't need to answer to them. Reg tells him to calm down again. He is a guest Iseline brought. If they act like this, in what position will they put her? And their father allowed it too. Valerian calms down and tells Derek to come with him, and also tells Reg not to interfere and go attend to his own stuff. Reg pats Derek on the shoulder and notes that Diella does need a beating before she comes to her senses, so he shouldn't worry. Even Valerian won't go too far. He nods and goes with him, Reg wondering why he's even protecting her so adamantly. Valerian leads Derek to the room, which used to be Diella's when she stayed in the main house. It's been left in this state ever since. She used to love drawing. Every time she asked him to look at her drawings, her face would turn red, but she never finished a drawing. Most of the time, she would leave a blank space and only draw the parts that she liked. He also apologizes for becoming so emotional. Derek says it's fine, but why did he bring him to this room? Valerian just wanted to show him that Diella wasn't a child who deserved to be despised or beaten, but at some point, she started obsessing over bloodline, and in the end, she was driven out of the main house and locked away in the annex. He can't even guess what turned her into that. They have to stop her from being sent to the monastery. If she learns even 1-star magic, he will be able to persuade father somehow. He is begging him to please save Diella, as he might be just her last chance. Derek tells him to wait. She did not give up completely on magic, judging by all the notes in the margins of these books. And those books next to him are all theory books from the School of Regulations, right? Valerian confirms as much because nobles learn from the School of Regulations. Looking at all this stuff, Derek has decided that he will give it an earnest try. As Diella sleeps peacefully in her bed, Derek suddenly pours a bucket of water on her, asking if she's seriously sleeping. She wakes up and asks if he's out of his mind, but Derek just grabs her hand and tells her that there's somewhere they need to go. She screams again, asking how he dares to touch her, and keeps screaming as he drags her away from the house and near the forest, where he drops her on the ground. She asks what he thinks this will change. He should wake up from his dream. Who the hell is he to teach her? Derek is surprised. She doesn't even listen, but does she want to know something? Honestly, he never had any intention of teaching her magic. He just enjoys beating stuck-up nobles. Diella asks what he just said, but Derek hopes she will agree. There's no reason for someone from the bottom to like nobles. This tutor nonsense was all a big excuse to beat up an arrogant, high and mighty noble like her. As he pulls out his blade, he asks if she knows how beautiful nobles who haven't known true suffering are. Delia asks if he thinks he will be safe after doing something like this, but Derek doesn't see why not. She was going to be shoved into a monastery soon anyway. Who would believe anything she said? And if something big happens, he can just apologize with his life. A commoner's life is worth that much at least. Or he could run away. They would probably forget about all this soon enough anyway. He'd be doing Duplan a favor, actually, getting rid of his biggest headache. Diella feels that she's going to die. If she gets caught, she will die. She begins running away. If she cuts across the grassland toward the residence, she will be caught. So she has to shake him off in the forest, which she should know better than him, and then she will go back to the residence. Suddenly, she sees something glowing behind her, as Derek has formed a gigantic fireball. But that's 2-star magic. How does he know to use it? Derek smiles, and his fireball almost overwhelms Delia, exploding right next to her. He apologizes, as he will make sure not miss next time. Diella continues running through the forest, but eventually trips on a root, falling directly on her hands. At that moment, a magic arrow flies towards her face, and she barely has a few seconds to dodge. Derek praises her for her quickness. It's hard to believe that's the speed of someone who was cooped up all this time. Diella looks back at him and continues running away, but he doesn't want to give up. She wonders how long she has to keep running. Can she even get away at this point? As she looks back, she sees him doing something, but he's staying still, so she may have enough time to get away. Derek observes that this forest is the one he saw in the paintings. It must be where she's been running around since childhood. Without even realizing it, she felt the mana in the vast wilds and transferred it into the canvas. This is definitely that. Suddenly, Diella comes from behind, screaming as she tries to hit him with a rock, but he simply slashes it out of her hands. He admits that her spirit is adequate, knowing it would be hard to shake him off. She decided to strike, which couldn't have been an easy decision to make. Unfortunately, it seems that she doesn't have the strength left to run anymore, as expected. Does she have any last words? Diella smiles. Does he really think she's going to apologize or something? Unlike lowborns, she doesn't grovel, so he should end her already. Derek is curious though. Just why is she so obsessed with bloodline? Diella asks what she would have left if they had taken away this great bloodline from her. The answer is magic. That's always been the case. But doesn't he think that she tried? No matter how much she forces, no matter how hard she tries, it never works. Magic or painting, if she gets weeded out of everything she lies, if she falls behind, then what does she have left? Without this blood coursing through her veins, who is she? Derek says nothing and infuses his blade with mana, having heard enough of her ramblings. This is goodbye. He swings his sword down, but suddenly it hits something else. Diella, who was expecting to be hit, opens her eyes and sees that she has made an icy wall around her. Is this magic? Derek sheathes his blade and congratulates her, and also apologizes for his rudeness. It may not be something one could truly call magic, as it's just a manifestation of mana, but she still did it. Overwhelmed by emotion, she begins to cry out, and Derek lets her get her emotions out. After that, as he bandages her, he explains that she belongs to the School of the Wild, He heard most nobles learn the school of regulations, but at its core, every school is essentially the same. However, it differs quite a lot in the process of understanding and mastering it. She's from the school of the wild, so trying to learn magic through conventional means was bound to cause problems. She wasn't just trying to fit clothes that wouldn't fit. She was trying to force herself to do something impossible for her body. Diella asks how he knows she's from the school of the wild, and Derek explains he saw the drawings she made and could feel the mana drifting through nature, which she put into canvas. Mages born with the temperament of the school of the wild usually sense mana in nature when young. After he is done bandaging her, he notes that she should be able to walk, and also states that even if she succeeds in manifesting mana, she still has a long way to go, and starting tomorrow, he will teach her how to manifest it naturally. As he turns around to lead her out of the forest, she thanks him, but he doesn't really care and tells her that they should go. As they go back, they talk about her paintings, and as morning comes, the first thing Diella tries is to use her magic again, but it fizzles out, proving that it is pretty hard. As she comes out of her room, a maid carrying some water gets scared, and a bit of the water ends up on Diella's dress. The maid immediately bows down and begs to be forgiven, but Diella tells her to just watch where she's going and leaves. The maid is confused. Is she not going to hit her? She's just leaving. The other maids come to her aid and are just as surprised, making them wonder what happened when she went out last night. Suddenly, Derek gets woken up by a bunch of knocking, as Diella has come to his room, wanting to be taught how to handle the mana she manifested. She tried, but it's not working. The butler is shocked that she manifested mana, but Derek closes the door in front of her and tells her to come back later. She immediately becomes annoyed and pounds on his door, demanding to be let in, but Derek just climbs back into bed and sleeps, as this too is part of her training. That day, the maids begin talking, noting that Diella didn't break a single plate today, and she's not even hitting the maids as she used to. Rumor has it that she actually manifested magic. Reg, hearing this as he's passing by, asks if what they said is true. Along with Valerian, he reports this news to their father, and even the head butler confirmed it. He is relieved to hear it, but Reg tells them not to jump to conclusions about it just because she manifested magic. Valerian notes that he should be praising her, instead of still being after her, but Reg has not forgotten what she has done up until now. As a result, as small as this will not brush aside her sending to the convent. Their father shuts up, keeping his thoughts to himself as he thinks. As Derek comes to her room, he sees her sulking, but she's not sulking. She's angry. Derek tells her that even if she acts spitefully, nothing will change. Diella tells him she's not spiteful. She's angry. Derek tells her that even if she pouts, they must follow the order first. Diella faces him and says she's just angry, but seeing his face and remembering what happened, she decides to let it go for now. Derek sits down and explains that just because she manifested magic does not mean she can go around using it, or it will backfire. He's saying this because he's been through that. Rest is just as important as learning. She rested enough, so now it's time to study. Diella expected him to say that. Here comes the stuffy magic teacher who just sits in a chair all day. Derek asks if he should teach her in a different way, as he has many ways of doing so. Diella sits down and relents, not wanting a repeat of last night. Derek is pleased, and explains that today they will practice magic manifestation. Once she can freely use this, she will be able to learn one-star magic before long. This school of the wild does not possess a rigid system, so it's ideal for self-study. It pursues far more freedom than any school. If he's honest, this school actually suits her quite well. She asks what he means, so Derek tells her that it's just as it sounds. Her free-spirited nature has good compatibility with this school, and on top of that, she was born with Duplain blood, which is overflowing with talent. Diella asks if he's saying she's talented, and Derek confirms as much. She can conjure an ice wall the instant she manifests, then she's certainly talented. Diella wonders if she's some kind of genius, and as they bicker on the details, Reg watches from afar, clearly annoyed by this development. The next day, Diella comes barging into his room, noting that she can do magic manifestation, but not get the right direction. The next day, she imbues it with cold, but something is off. The next day, she says that she can feel magic, but it's a weird sensation. The next day, Diella finds him far away, which she dislikes as she told him to stay in the annex. Does he think father let him those spellbooks to slack off? Derek confirms they are just for that, and she grabs him, noting that she succeeded at letting the magic flow as he said. The next day, Valerian calls for Derek, as he was hoping they would have a chat. He asks how Diella has been doing lately, and Derek confirms that progress has been made, but learning one-star magic will likely take a lot more time. Valerian understands and explains that his mother, who went to a social gathering, will probably return sometime next week. He will warn him that the woman is not someone he can take lightly. The people in this estate are fine, but nobles, by their nature, do not like commoners holding such high positions. Derek will keep it in mind, but is that why he called him? Valerian says that's not everything, and gets up. He's the next head of this house, and that means that he has a position where he has to embrace and include all the members of the house. To do that, he must be sincere with all of them. But that's difficult, because a person's heart can be profound. It would be nice if everyone's thoughts and values were the same, but that is just not reality. Derek asks what he's trying to say, and too long didn't read. Valerian is sad that Diella won't play with him, making Derek completely stone-faced. Valerian explains that he still remembers how she used to welcome him with a smile when they were little. Where would one find another angel in the world like her? So isn't there some kind of way to win her favor? Derek wonders why he's being asked that, but Valerian notes that she follows him around everywhere, probably even now. He should also look at this too. He learned how to make dolls from the maids. Doesn't it look exactly like her? Can he feel the love of a big brother? Derek asks if he's trying to put a curse on someone, making Valerian cry even more. Sure enough, a few days later, Valerian's mother appears, noting that she heard a lot about him, that they finally found a capable teacher. She introduces herself as Muriella Dybel Duplain. If it wouldn't be an inconvenience, she would like to send him a generous gift. Derek immediately tells her that he's not affiliated with any house, meaning that he's a commoner, completely shocking Muriella. 1 week earlier, as Aizaline left, she talked with Derek, glad that they brought him to the residence. She would have liked to stay by Diella's side too, since she's her older sister, but she has a lot to take care of back in Ebelstein. Derek understood, and Jaden notes that he should be more lively when answering nobles. But anyway, he should wrap things up here quickly and get back, or Pauline will get mad if she finds out. As the carriage rode out, Aizaline completely forgot that her mother would return next week, and she forgot to give him a heads up. Jaden asks if that's really something worthy of a heads up, and Aizaline can't tell him, but she's a little traditional. She immediately bursts through Duplain's study, and demands to know how he dares to put a commoner as a teacher. He tells her to stop screaming, as he hasn't gone deaf just yet, but he just might now. She believes that's not the problem. This is Diella they are talking about, their beloved youngest. Duplain sighs, takes his glasses off, and explains that he doesn't like it either, but every single teacher with a good bloodline eventually gave up on her. Muriella doesn't care. How could he take in some man who is a mercenary of all things? Duplain explains that finding a magic teacher is not easy, and Derek was recommended by Aizaline herself. Muriella believes there has to be a standard. They have his younger brother, Flam, right? He said he was busy last time, but it's different now. Diella's just manifested magic, so if he comes and teaches her, Duplain interrupts her. Does she expect him to pull the person managing the territory and turn him into a teacher? Does she think running Ebelstein is easy work? Muriella asks about the Ebelstein social circle. Does he think the social circle is haphazard? It's a war zone, actually. Socially, a teacher matters more than anything. If word gets out that a commoner with no family name is teaching her, she will be a laughingstock. Suddenly, Valerian arrives too, and tells her to calm down. Surely she didn't come here just to fight father, right? Muriella tells him to step aside. This is not something she can let slide. Suddenly, Reg speaks, noting that the question is whether the commoner mage has the capabilities of being her teacher, right? A commoner becoming a noble's teacher is not normal. Not at all. Naturally, if that commoner truly has the qualifications, then it will probably not be a major problem. That is why he wants to test the qualities of this man. If he defeats him in a magic spar, Duplain shuts him up. He's the real deal as a mage. Reg knows he's underestimating him with that look, and asks about testing Diella. If Derek is as excellent a teacher as he thinks, the Diella, who received his instruction, must have good results too. He will personally spar with her and verify the results. Duplain says nothing, having tired of these conversations already, but as Reg leaves, Valerian follows, demanding to know what the hell he is thinking. Reg turns to him and asks if he truly believes Diella just had a complete change of heart out of nowhere, or has she forgotten who she is? Valerian doesn't care. She's his sister, his blood. They need to hold her close and protect her. Reg laughs. That blood is what's bringing their house down, as if everything she's done until now isn't bad enough. If she debuts in high society like this, it will spell the end. Valerian asks if this is truly how he feels, but Reg walks away. She was the first one who crossed the line. The best thing for her is to be shut away in that annex. He seems determined not to let her prosper. Soon, Diella barges into Derek's room, who asks what it is so early in the morning. So Diella throws a scroll on his book, and notes that if she loses this spar, he's fired. Derek heard of it already. Reg is a 1-star mage, and a seasoned one at that, so it will probably be difficult to win. Diella asks if this is all he has to say. Derek explains that he's a mercenary. He does the job he's hired to do, and he takes the pay that comes with it, and he's already been paid more than enough. Diella asks if he really means that, and 1 week later, everyone, including Duplain, gathers at the family arena. Derek bows down to them, allowing Duplain to see that he's not nervous at all. Is he that confident? If he has this kind of nerve in this kind of situation, perhaps he is not someone they should cut loose yet. As Reg walks on the stage, he thinks this is not a simple spar. He will use this to break Diella completely, and make sure she regrets what she has done all her life. Diella does the same, but seems not bear any kind of emotion. When she came to Derek with this news, he told her that her magic growth had already gotten on track. She probably noticed too. She cannot use 1-star magic right away, but it won't take long. That's because of her blood. Diella asks why he's suddenly saying that, but Derek has stated before, the School of the Wild is a school that is more focused, no self-study. She still asked why he was saying this now, but Derek did not answer. Diella relented. She knew she wasn't the greatest student, but even so, she wants to keep learning magic from him. She doesn't want anyone else. Derek remained silent for a moment and told her in advance. He doesn't know the etiquette or rules for nobles during magic spars. He's never done one, but he can teach her how to win that fight if she wants. Diella, having suffered the ridicule and scorn of everyone she has ever met, who thought that her house was past its prime because of her, immediately agrees. She wanted to win. Diella didn't come here as Reg's sister, much less the youngest of House Duplain. She is standing there, only as Derek's student and a mage. As they both stay in against each other, the butler clears his throat. They will be applying the sparring rules of the high-rank mages of Ebelstein. Whichever side triggers General Pelham's protective magic circle first will be declared the loser. With that, they may begin. The General Pelham's protective magic circle is an accessory that activates right before the wearer would take major damage, nullifying their spell. So this is how nobles fight, huh? They use expensive accessories. It must be nice to be rich. They can basically play around with money. The duration is 10 minutes, and it seems like Reg plans to finish this fight before that. He immediately begins by chanting a powerful spell, feeling sorry for her a bit, but it's better for her to be in the annex. He lets out a powerful wind slash, and Diella doesn't move at first, but suddenly gets out of the way. Reg gets mad and uses his magic to summon 2 more strikes. Derek thinks that she can handle 1-star magic with ease, but it seems she's a complete beginner to combat. Since she's forcing the trajectory to make it hit, she will burn through a lot of mana. Diella uses her ice wall to block these next strikes, but Reg wonders just how long that little trick of hers will work. This is nothing but a fluke, which he will break through with sheer firepower. Seeing his strikes, Diella remembers Derek's words. Mercenaries fight differently from nobles. They do not treat fairness as virtue. They only focus on victory. It's far from a typical duel between nobles. Even if she wins, she will be criticized. Regardless, she can still create an ending where she comes out on top. Is she fine with that? Diella immediately agreed, and now she's dead set on winning. As the wind strikes come in, she continues to dodge them. Among mercenaries, there are people who win even when there's a gap in strength. Those people usually don't duel, but actually fight. Reg redirects his strike, but misses again. By fight, Derek meant they control the battlefield by making use of their terrain and surroundings. They literally use any and all methods to achieve victory. They must even grab the advantage of the very short period where their enemy lets their guard down. Diella blocks another attack, and Reg thinks it's over, as a blast crashes down behind her. Derek does not react, but Miriella screams out, telling the butler to end the duel this instant. Duplan tells her to shut it and sit down, as it's not over yet. Miriella notes that he saw it too. She was hit by that attack. Duplan tells her that she's wrong. He's watching Derek, and he didn't even blink. Perhaps he had expected her to grow this much? Reg walks through the dust he created, knowing that attack should have hit. Where did she go? Suddenly he feels something coming from below, and sure enough, a strike which almost hits him appears. Reg looks at the butler, thinking that this must count as a loss since she left the platform, but he just shakes his head, meaning that she still is technically inside. They probably never even considered a petty trick like this to be used in a noble duel. Suddenly another strike appears, then another, then another. Reg cannot see her. Landing an attack on her will be difficult now. On the other hand, all she needs to do is land one blow on him. This is not how a noble fights. He sees her through the openings she made, and that fiery look in her eyes. He saw it somewhere else before. It's the same look Derek had when Valerian grabbed him by the collar. He knew that Diella couldn't come up with this on her own. This was all this bastard's plan. It's time for him to get serious. He removes his cloak, as he will play along with this little scheme of theirs. As Reg removes his cloak, Miriella can't believe that Diella went under the platform, under all that dust and more. She asks Duplan what he is doing. He should stop the fight at once. He refuses, as no rules have been broken, so they should watch just a bit longer, he says, thinking that this just got interesting. Diella sits down, and with her concentration, she begins to slowly see the flow of mana. Using this, just as Reg is about to cast Gain, she unleashes another ice pillar toward him, forcing a dodge. He is clearly annoyed, as she's going for his feet when he begins incantations. Surely, he cannot go down like this. He looks around, trying to find something to work with, and suddenly his eyes lock onto the pillar that is holding their family flag. Diella notices that the mana flow has stopped, meaning that he is up to something. Whatever he does, the next time he begins another incantation, she will definitely get him. The butler is a bit worried, as he sees the young master climb the pillar he was just looking at. From this distance, Diella shouldn't be able to react to his mana, but trying to cast spells from here is a challenge, to say the least. There is one other way, however. He begins to push out a lot of mana from his hand, aiming to destroy the entire platform. Suddenly he sends that mana arrow right at the end of the pillar, making it shatter into bits and pieces. Eventually it cracks enough to snap in two, and as Reg falls down with it, he jumps, letting the pillar roughly crash onto the entire arena. Miriella screams out at her son, fearing that he may have gotten hurt, but as the dust clears, he seems to be fine. His eyes take a moment to adjust, as his body is still shaken by what he did, but eventually he sees a figure in the distance, and sends another arrow straight at it. Diella sees the incoming arrow and tries to dispel it, but she doesn't have enough reach, so she is forced to dodge and continue running. Reg knows all too well that he has the advantage at close range, so with just one magic arrow, he can finish this. Just as he thinks this, Diella suddenly rushes in with a mighty kick to his chest, making the proud Reg fall to his knees and grip his chest as it tightens. Diella is not done yet, as she picks up a bunch of sand and throws it in his eyes before climbing out of the floor and onto the arena. Reg wipes his eyes, incredibly annoyed. All this kicking and throwing of sand. She's doing everything she can because she has no more mana. She's doing all of it just to win, even while knowing that it's impossible. He admits to himself that this duel was a fight to prove her worth, so as her brother, he will do his best not to shame her. He climbs out of the flooring too, and Diella is prepared for him, even if she is currently bleeding. She thinks of what Derek told her, to think of magic like brushstrokes in a painting. Mana is the paint she is using, and spellcasting is her trusty brush. She just has to collect the free-floating paint with her brush to create a whole image. That is what magic can be for her. Diella was once amazed and watched with curiosity, and now, having understood what he meant, she begins to glow as mana permeates around her. Mana is paint, and spells are a brush. She can finally feel that mana right at her fingertips, so she uses it to draw a spear, along with other ice shards. The butler is amazed, and Miriella is shocked as Diella has somehow used one-star magic. Reg recognizes this too, as those are ice spears she is using. She's done it now though. Since she can do something like this and stand proud, he does not have to hold back anymore. Even so, this will not change the outcome of this match. He summons a bunch of arrows at his side, thinking that he is still ahead, even in one-star magic. He will hit her before she hits him, and with that, he will win. Diella suddenly throws that spear toward him, and Reg unleashes a flurry of arrows toward her as well. The two strikes connect, creating a large blast of mana and shocking everyone there. As the dust clears, only a few things can be seen. Somebody's protection barrier was activated, and both combatants are pretty tired, while Derek watches on without much emotion to show. 1 year ago, as spring was in full swing, Duplan walked around the estate, the butler telling him about a letter that had come regarding the upcoming social gathering that was taking place. However, he came upon Diella's room and saw her just sitting alone on a chair, her expression a sad one to have for a mere child. Alas, he could not do anything, as even if he pulled her out of this state, she would likely just go back. The result of the attacks is visible now. It was Diella's barrier that activated, leaving her breathless. Her spear missed by just a few inches, even Reg recognizing that it was pretty close. Derek doesn't really react that much. He just puts his head down and realizes that they lost. Suddenly, Diella lets out all of her repressed emotions as she begins to cry. Duplan's still watching on. The hag next to him demands to know what he was thinking. Something this filthy and vulgar should not ever be considered a magic spar. It was an insult to magic itself. Duplan drowns her out completely as he watches his daughter cry, and suddenly remembers when he took part in the war. He introduces himself to the king, noting it's an honor to serve. The king had already heard a lot about him from his father. He certainly had his eyes, ones full of ambition. Now he sees that look in Diella's teary eyes too. At least her expression has improved a lot. The maids who were once fearful of her dash in, concerned for her well-being, one of them saying that she needs treatment at once, but she refuses. She slowly walks up to Reg, who cannot look her in the eye as he says that she did some good work. She bows her head once and goes away, one of the maids saying that she will escort her to her chambers. But once again, Diella ignores them and goes straight to Derek. Her lower lip begins to quiver as tears roll down her face once again. She grasps the end of her skirt as she says that she lost, and she is sorry for it. Derek looks at her for a bit and gets up, noting that it's alright. It's completely fine to lose. It's a part of life after all. However, she should use this frustration to climb higher and grow even stronger than before. Hearing this, Diella begins to wail again, the maid's not doing anything, but still feeling sad for her. Miriella arrives and immediately grabs Diella, noting that she cannot believe she went through all that strife. She must have had such a hard time. However, it's alright now. She should go quickly and get treated. Diella agrees, and Miriella watches on as she wipes her tears away. After that, she immediately makes her way to the unknown Derek and begins to scream. She calls him a vulgar bastard. Does he even understand what he has done? So what if you taught her one-star magic? Does he think that he's impressive because of that? She slaps him, then grabs his cloak and closes in. He taught her nothing but cheap, dirty tricks, smearing filth all over her purity and nobility. She slaps him again, and continues screaming, noting that there's a world where lowly trash like him doesn't even know exists, something with value worth protecting. Even trash like him should have this dignity. She sees Duplan approaching and notes that he saw it too, right? That was no magic spear. He was teaching Diella the most awful things. How will she grow up now with that trash in her mind? Suddenly, Duplan smacks the shit out of her and asks if she really doesn't realize the one who is behaving the most vulgarly right now. She doesn't understand why this person is just a mere commoner. Duplan agrees. He is a commoner, all right, but he is their daughter's teacher. What parent, in this entire world of theirs, treats the teacher of their child in such a manner? He apologizes to Derek, noting that he should forgive her. Everyone has their own way of loving their child. Derek says nothing, and then notes that it's fine. Duplan turns around and notes that they have something to discuss separately in his study. As she watches them leave, Miriella's eyes are filled with hate, proving that a backhand would have been much more efficient. As Duplan begins to write as he usually does, he tells Derek that he has raised Diella amazingly. As the master of this estate, he should grant him an appropriate reward, right? The highest realm permitted to a commoner is 3 stars. So does he want that? Derek is surprised, but he hit the mark exactly. He knows him well, it seems. Even better than he knows himself, making an effort especially tailored for him. This is a 5-star mage, a Grand Duke of the nation. So when he gives out an opportunity like this, it must be seized. He agrees, as he does actually want it. Duplan notes that his achievement, teaching Diella 1-star magic, is not something to scoff at, but in Ebelstein's high society, that level of achievement is not enough to survive. Derek notes that there are plenty of people in this estate who can guide Diella, Now that she's found the feel for it, she will flourish a lot more than before. Duplain tells him that his daughter does not need an instructor, but she does need a teacher. He puts his pen down for a little while and notes that he, as a commoner, harbors such great ambition, but he is not even permitted to dream of it. Derek thinks that they have not spoken that much, have they? Duplain continues, asking if he knows how insulting that must feel to those lofty nobles. However, he is willing to look the other way because of what he has accomplished. Derek thinks that even without them talking, he knows that he is looking beyond 3-star, or even 4-star. That is what makes him such a frightening individual, and all the more of a target for some. Duplain notes that if he's truly embraced that intention, he cannot remain in this place for a long time. He's probably already prepared to leave, isn't he? Derek confirms as such, and Duplain does not want to be ignorant of his ambitions, but even so, he must teach Yahello a little while longer. That is why he wants to give him the highest realm permitted to a commoner, the realm of 3-star magic. With this, Derek is granted access to a library, and just by picking up a random magic book and reading through it for a bit, he thinks it's amazing. Some people spend their entire lives trying to obtain a single 2-star spell book, and yet, this is all 3-star spell books, all in one place. With this much, there's enough reason for him to stay in this estate for a little while longer, but he knows that if Peline finds out, she will certainly raise hell. 3 days pass, and Yahello seems to have recovered, noting that she is a 1-star mage now. Derek notes that she used 1-star magic only once, so yeah, she can be called a 1-star mage, although barely. Yahello is confused. That's it. His apprentice achieved progress, and he is not at all happy. Derek notes that it's not an achievement he has heard personally, so no, not really. Yahello sighs, saying that he really isn't easy to work with, and Derek notes that it seems she recovered over the last 3 days. He keenly remembers crying her eyes out back then, right? Yahello sits down, clearly embarrassed, and notes that nobody was crying. It was just that dust got into her eyes. That's it. She also pouts a little, noting that they should have told her sooner that he wasn't going to get kicked out. Derek feels that's enough talk. They should start today's lesson. She is growing quickly, so she will learn the other 1-star spells soon too. Hearing a bit of praise, Yahello immediately turns to him and asks to repeat what he just said. Derek doesn't want to, but explains that her growth is uncommon, to be able to use 1-star magic not long after her magic manifestation. Yahello feels proud, she told him previously, that she is the kind of person who does what she says she will. So what do they start with? Magic arrow, as that seemed rather convenient to cast, or windblade, the one that Reg used, as it looked really nice. Perhaps that ice spear too, as it felt amazing. If she practices a bit more, she will be able to hit any target. Derek shuts all of her dreams down by noting that she will actually be practicing magic manifestation. Yahello asks why they aren't learning 1-star spell now. Derek notes that there are a lot of reasons for it, but in the end, the basics are what matter most. If he were to put it simply, it basically comes down to mana. Yahello relents, and says that they should do that then. If he says so, it is what it is. But she got all excited, thinking that they were actually going to do some fun stuff. Derek looks on at her with a certain look, and Yahello notices, making her wonder why he's doing this. Does she have something on her face? Derek says that's not it. It's just surprising to see her listen so obediently. Yahello becomes embarrassed and asks who he takes her for. She's respected his words from the very beginning. Derek doesn't know what to say about that one, as when they first met, she poured diary water over his head, twice. Yahello hoped that he would have forgotten that, but Derek notes that it's pretty hard to forget such a thing. Yahello tries to change the subject, noting that they are having great weather today, and magic manifestation sounds fun, so they should hurry up and practice. Seeing her try not to think about what she did, Derek smiles. They continue training until the night. Yahello is on the ground, completely exhausted, and Derek notes that he heard she's going to get busier. As he sits down with her, she confirms as such, but she really doesn't know. They said that starting next week, she will be taking etiquette and general education classes, or whatever. Derek asks if she doesn't think of that as a good thing. She's learned 1-star magic, so now she will be receiving a true noble's education. Yahello asks if he really thinks this is making her happy. Basic noble etiquette, foreign languages, geography, history, botany, piano, and even sewing. She just does not understand why she has to learn all of that stuff. How did Aiseline endure all of it until now? Derek notes that this is why she's called the Flower of Duplain, and why she's at the center of Ebelstein's high society. Yahello says that she only wants to study magic, so Derek tells her to do it. Duplain himself hired him, so they have plenty of leeway as is. Yahello is not sure if they will really have that much time for that anymore. Derek asks if there really is anyone who would kick him out at this point. Yahello confirms as much, even if her father acknowledged him. Her mother isn't the type to just let things go, unfortunately. Derek doesn't really understand why she wants to drive him out so badly, so Yahello tells him that she's probably worried that if she learns from him, she will drift away from the noble dignity she depends on, and will end up becoming a mercenary like him. Even just looking at today's spar, its dignity is a far cry from what nobles usually do. Derek thinks on it a bit, and notes that this is nothing special then. It seems that silencing her mother really is not as difficult as she thinks. She just has to remove her pretext. Yahello wonders what he means by this. The next day, as Miriella walks throughout the estate, she wonders how she could ever meet such an indecent teacher. Her poor little girl. She just knows that one day, that mercenary boy will continue to corrupt her with his mercenary ways, and soon enough, she will go into the Ebelstein High Society as a crooked woman, who does not care about etiquette or anything good in life. She's about to faint just thinking about it. Even so, what could that lowly commoner possibly teach Diella? Even if her husband acknowledged him, she is the mistress of this estate, and she will find a way to remove him somehow. As she gets out of the estate though, she is met with Diella, and thinks that she will immediately hug her. Even if people say she is childish, she loves the way she runs into her arms with a smile every time. She continues waiting though, and then opens her eyes, seeing that Diella is in no way thinking of approaching her, and instead bows down, asking if she rested well last night, surprising Miriella. Diella notes that she could not leave the annex while she was treating her injuries, so she's sorry if she missed the chance to catch up to her properly. There is much she wants to speak with her about, but unfortunately, she has a piano lesson this morning. Miriella, still a bit shaken, understands. Diella bows down again, noting that she will be going first, as her general education schedule is packed. Miriella is confused. Her etiquette lessons, they haven't started them yet, right? Should they be starting around next week? Diella responds just as her sister would, confirming as such, and thanks to her generous consideration, she is very much looking forward to them. Miriella agrees and tells her to hurry to not be late for class, but everyone who is watching is left stunned. Even one of the maids drops the firewood she was carrying as Diella walks past. As she does, she tells the maid to be careful and not overstrain herself. The maid sheepishly agrees, and they all watch as she walks away, seeming like an entirely different person than the one she was previously. Thank you for watching. See you next time.